went for a walk. Nothing more than that, a paved trail on a summer morning. The kind of walk he had taken dozens of times before on this same path through North Park. He knew where it went. He knew how long it took. He had no particular intention beyond walking itself. And then he stopped. He wasn't sure why. Something at the edge of the trail had caught him. Not a sound, not a movement, not anything he could immediately name. He turned and looked into the woods and saw it. A space, dark and enclosed, branches reaching from both sides, meeting overhead. A room that nobody had built. He looked at it for a moment and then kept walking. And then he stopped again. Another one, different shape, different depth, same quiet pull. His eyes drawn off the trail and held there for a moment before he could move on. This kept happening. By the third or fourth time, he began to wonder what was going on. Not with the woods, with him. What was it that these unremarkable spaces, no view, no landmark, nothing spectacular to photograph or point at, but kept pulling himself off his walk and holding him still? He decided to pay attention. He stepped off the paved trail and stood at the entrance of one of these rooms and looked in. It had depth, not the flat surface of the thing observed from outside, real depth, layers of branch and shadows receding into each other. The space changed as his eye moved through it. Near things and far things existing at the same time in the same place. He could feel the dimensions of it, not just see them. He stood there and tried to understand what he was feeling. It wasn't all exactly. Not yet. It was something quieter than that. A recognition, as though some part of him had been waiting a long time and finally found the right kind of place to stop in. He began to wonder when he had last stood inside something three-dimensional. We have become people of flat surfaces. The screen in the morning, the screen at the desk, the screen in the evening before sleep. Each one presenting a world that has been reduced to two dimensions, length and width, image and text, light arranged on glass, vivid, immediately, endlessly available, and completely without depth. He had not noticed how much he has been living on flat surfaces until he stepped outside something three-dimensional and felt a difference in his body before he could name it in his mind. The woods did not present themselves to him, they surrounded him. This is not a small distinction. Inside the dark room, things began to arrive that no screen has ever given him. The light shifted when a cloud moved overhead, not gradually, the way a screen dims when adjusted, but suddenly and specifically. The sun projected itself through the gaps in the leaves, laying a pattern on the ground at his feet that existed for a moment and then was gone. He saw his shadow. He noticed that his shadow on the forest floor, moving when he moved, proof that he was a three-dimensional thing inside of a three-dimensional world. On a screen, a man has no shadow. On a screen, man is only what is visible from one direction at one moment in time. Here he was all of himself at once. He moved deeper into the woods and found more of them. Each room was different. Some were wide, cathedral-like with branches arching high overhead, and the ground below open and soft. Some are narrow and low, almost tunnels, where he had to slow down and move carefully. Some were barely rooms at all, just a suggestion of an enclosure, a darkening of the light, and a closing in of the branches just lasted only a few steps before opening again. but each one stopped him. Each one asked something of him that the paved trail never had. It asked him to be present, fully present, not moving through a space, but actually inside of it, surrounded by it, held by it, registered by it as a living thing among other living things. He couldn't get that from a trail. He couldn't get that from a screen. He could only get it by stepping off the path and standing still inside something real. He followed the sound of water and found the stream. It moved slowly beneath a canopy of branches that reached out over it from both banks, creating another room, longer, narrower, with the stream at its floor and the sky as a thin blue ribbon running through the ceiling above. He stood at the edge and looked down. The reflections in the water showed him the world above. Trees inverted, clouds moving through the surface, light breaking apart where the current disturbed it. Two worlds visible at once. The one he was standing in and the one reflected beneath his feet. Both real, both present, both asking something of his attention at the same time. A screen shows you one thing at a time. Nature shows you everything at once and let you choose where to look. He stood still and let his senses catch up. The breeze arrived on his skin before he heard it. The coldness moving through the summer warmth. The body registering the change before the mind named it. And then the leaves responded, clapping softly against each other in a small wave moving through the canopy overhead. Not loud, not dramatic, the sound of the world adjusting itself. He noticed the temperature shift as the sun moved behind a cloud and the shade deepened around him. He noticed the smell of the earth and the water and the particular green smell of leaves in full summer. He noticed the ground beneath his feet, soft in some places, root-crossed in others, alive in ways that pavement never is. Every sense engaged, every sense necessary. He could not have received any of this through a screen. Not the breeze in his skin, not the smell of the earth, not the way the air temperature changed between sunlight and shade. These things require a body present in a place. They cannot be transmitted. They cannot be uploaded. They exist here and only now, and only for the person standing inside them. He thought about how much time he spent looking at flat surfaces. He thought about what it had been costing him without his knowing it. Near the stream where the branches meet most completely overhead, he found the log, the darkest of the rooms, the most enclosed, the one that felt most like a place that had been waiting for exactly this. A man would know where he needed to be, sitting down inside something real. He sat. He did nothing. No screen to check, no surface to consult, no two-dimensional world competing for his attention. Just a man on a log inside of a room that nature had assembled over decades without any intentions of building anything at all, and somehow built perfectly. The breeze moved through the leaves, and they clapped softly above him. The stream ran over the rocks at his feet. The sound of it continuous, impatient, and completely indifferent to anything except the direction it was going. The birds called to each other somewhere in the branches. He could hear them, but not see them. They did not need to be seen to be real. He sat in 3 dimensions and felt all of them at once. This was not a flat surface. This was the world. Then, distance, the bells, from somewhere beyond the tree line, beyond the trail, beyond the dark rooms in the stream and the summer canopy, church bells ringing, faint, unhurried, carried to him on the same breeze that moved the leaves. He did not move. He sat on the log in the dark room in the woods and let the bells come to him across whatever distance they traveled. And he received them the way he received everything else that morning, with his whole body, in 3 dimensions, completely present in a world that had no surface. The leaves clapped, the stream ran, the birds called, the bells ring. He sat.